My cover panel is what I saw. Capacitor literally exploded. So that's pretty cool. I mean, this thing literally popped. It's nuts. Okay, I'm currently at my first call of the morning, which is a AC not working in Belmore. And we've got two of these American Standard Allegiance 15s, and outdoor condenser on my first floor unit is not turning on, but it is making a buzzing sound. Unfortunately, over to work to the house, they blocked the disconnects in. So that's absolutely fantastic. Now I gotta chip away at all this to try to get the disconnect out. Okay, it was a little bit of a pain, but I did get it out. I pulled off my my cover panel, is what I saw. Capacitor literally exploded. So that's pretty cool. I mean, this thing literally popped. It's nuts. So, gonna be a new cap, 4575. I'll make sure that that's the right one, but yeah, that's pretty crazy. Okay, it's pretty awesome. 4575. I knew I just restocked that in the truck. So, got a Titan HD. These are what we've been using for a while, and then Mike wanted to go to NRED, but with the NREDs, they're not readily available, so we're back to our Titans. But we get some band iron, get this capacitor in there, hope it turns on, all the amperages test okay, hoping that the compressor is not in lockout, but yeah, pretty nuts. So here's a closer look at that capacitor, and you can see all the oils in there all burnt up, a couple burnt out like windings in there, but this thing just completely exploded. That's the first time I've ever seen that. I've seen them swell up but never explode like that, so that is pretty awesome. Okay, so I tested this one and it was okay. This one's running now, discharging some heat, but it does not sound too great. So I'm gonna take an amp draw, see what we're doing there. 10 amps, that's not awful. 10 amps on each leg. Okay, so we'll let it run for a little bit, see what it does. Probably hook up my gauges, my testo probes, and this one tested out okay. Everything looks okay. This one has a different style fan motor. I don't know that it's an ECM, I think it's just multiple speeds. Let's see. Yeah, there's some type of sensor out here, which I guess senses the temperature and then whether or not that fan needs to kick up into its second speed. At least I think that's how it works. Compressor got much quieter on this. Let's see what our discharge air temperature is. Currently it's not too warm out, it's early in the morning. Get this turned on. So it's about 74 outside. Yeah, around that area. And we'll see what we discharge. Now we're also right on the water. That is the ocean, it's a bay. So it would not be a bad idea to rinse these coils out, even though they don't look totally coated in gunk. So we'll see if she wants to go ahead with that. Okay, so looks like the culprit for our capacitor going bad could be that our compressor is working so hard. We're low on refrigerant charge. It's a 410A system, and I believe it's designed for 11 degrees of subcooling. Oh, 8 degrees of subcooling. We're only halfway there. So they're gonna need refrigerant, it looks like. So let me let them know what's going on. that there's a leak in the system and what they want to do about it. Okay, so just spoke with them, and we're gonna do adding refrigerant 410 and adding the sealant with the dye. I mostly like it because the dye helps us find it later, but there's always the chance that it'll seal the leak. So that's the route they want to go. I asked if I could rinse off the condenser coils to break down that salt, and they said okay on that. So I'm just gonna get our refrigerant, our scale, and our sealant out. Okay, got my refrigerant set up on my scale. I zeroed it out, zeroed again. It says 0.25, but I purged out the hose. I hooked it up with my testo probes, and I have this little Apion adapter so that I could do the charging with the probes. So zeroed out, and I'm gonna start right off with a pound. So open this up and let it suck that refrigerant in till we hit about a pound. See where it settles there. I think we're gonna be quite a few pounds, but we'll see. Yeah, so with a pound, there's really not very much change. We're gonna go all the way up to 2. It's a large system, very, very large lines too. Looks like inch, maybe 1.25 inches. I'll show you the line set, it's huge. That's the biggest line set I've seen on a residential system. So here are those line sizes. Yeah, about, looks like 1 inch, so it's just really big. It's not as big on the other one, but it's interesting to see that. We're slowly went up a little bit on our subcooling. Our evaporator temperature went up by about 8 degrees, so that's good. Here's the system itself. What are we, a 4.5 ton? Maybe? I'll have to confirm the size on that. Maybe just a 4 ton, but yeah, see how our discharge temperature is doing. This psychrometer is very annoying. 90 degrees. Superheat came down, so we'll see. Okay, so we're almost at 5 pounds now. Our subcooling's finally going up to around where it needs to be. Hopefully it comes up a little bit higher. But it looks like I may need to add a touch more, but we'll see. Superheat came down. Our evaporator temperature went up. So I was getting worried for a second that the compressor wasn't really compressing, but it looks like it's okay for now, at least. It's definitely, I don't know if the camera can tell, but it sounds a lot quieter with this refrigerant added. I could also do an amp draw. We could see if the amp draw changed. No, it's about the same, if not higher, so. Okay. At least it's interesting to know. It did come up a little bit. I'll probably round this off to an even 5. And, oh, maybe not. But, before I add the sealant, I am going to rinse off the coil, because we do have to keep it running when I add the sealant in. Okay, so I got my hose and I pulled the fans off, and I'm just gonna go from the inside out. Oh, and spray myself. I'm trying to do it one-handed, and just go through the coil like that to try to rinse off as much of the salt as I can, because we are right by the ocean. You can see the color difference on the outside of the coil. So, okay, so I just took the sealant out of its packaging. I already hooked this up to the high side and purged it of air. I am going to put the sealant on the low side port. And see, coils are wet, I rinsed them off. Put our high side hose onto that low side port. crack it a little bit to purge this section. Now, when I open this, it should push the dye into the system using the high side pressure. And yep, there we go. So you can see slowly the dye gets less and less until it's all gone. I like to throttle it so I'm not flooding the compressor. And there we have it, all the dye is in the system. So, and to minimize refrigerant loss, sorry, I ended up getting cut off by the homeowner, but I'll take this off, which has a low loss fitting, and I'll let the system suck in the rest of that liquid refrigerant. And then I'm going to be checking pressures on this one, so they requested that I do that. Got my testo probes ready, and we can hook up to that one. Okay, so I'm still waiting for this to dry off, but I do have the probes hooked up, and I threw the stickers on. I ran out of the yellow stickers, so I had to use these ones, which are usually for our new installs, but subcooling, it's coming up slowly as the coil dries off, so just gotta wait for that high side pressure slowly coming up, so see what happens. Okay, so unfortunately, that system is also low in refrigerant. I'm hoping I have enough, because I didn't go to the shop today. I just went straight for my house, and the same for yesterday. But, see what happens. Definitely have enough sealant, but refrigerant, maybe enough. It might be close. Okay, so I'm hooked up. I put the bottle on top, so hopefully some of that heat from the condenser can build up that pressure in that tank. 11 pounds on the tank, so running low, but I'm gonna start right off with a pound, and we'll see what happens. Superheat you can't see now because I have refrigerant being added, but subcooling, that's our subcooling. Okay, so here's where we're at after 4 pounds, and actually no, 5. And this is where I'm gonna leave it. It's plus or minus 3 on our subcooling with the 8, so I'm more concerned that our superheat it's getting on the low side, and I don't want liquid refrigerant making its way back to the compressor, so I'm going to go ahead with adding the sealant on this one. Okay, so I'm leaving there 10 pounds total on refrigerant between the two systems. At the stop sign, turn left onto Ricky Street, then turn left onto Susan Road. On both systems, a capacitor, 2 hours, so they need a lot done, but they haven't had the systems touched since they were installed in 2011. Right onto Ellen Road. So told them that they should consider scheduling a maintenance, especially on the indoor. I didn't get a chance to check out the indoor units, and they have filters that don't fit properly. They have two 14 by 30s instead of 30 by 30, so there's gaps. I'm sure it's been sucking in a lot of debris, but the evaporator pressure wasn't even close to freezing, so I'm not overly concerned
at the next stop sign,
about it.
Turn left.
But we'll see what happens. Somebody's walking literally in the middle of the street. Completely in the middle of the street. What am I, like, come on. I don't want to honk. Like, what? Well, yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed watching. Comment any advice or criticisms or feedback, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.